do these players fill the gap? Been watching a lot more of Douglas Luiz in the last couple of days to try to understand what type of player that he is. Saw him play a little bit for Brazil, watched some comps, watched an Aston Villa game to try to understand what kind of player he is. A number 6 slash number 8. Um, and I think the biggest quality that he adds is his press resistance. I think that's the main thing. If you want to replace Thomas Partey in January, one of the things that you have to replace is his ability to receive the ball under pressure. None of our midfielders right now have that level of authority in midfield. As much as I love Declan Rice, I think that he receives the ball out wide a lot more because it's not really his thing, is receiving it with 3 or 4 players around him and being able to dip the shoulder and get away. That's the Thomas Partey thing. That's one of his biggest strengths. That's probably the thing that people like the most about him besides his passing. So that's what Douglas Luiz definitely gives you back. So if you want a player that I think one of the things that Arsenal are struggling with right now is that teams feel comfortable flooding the midfield because they know that none of our midfielders will receive it under pressure. So that makes sure that we have to go down the wings. And when we go down the wings, it makes it easier for them to defend the box. Basically, they're limiting our access into central spaces. We've spoken about that quite often. And despite like we're doing really well not being able to access those areas, but the best teams do tend to figure out ways to get there. And so if Arsenal can't do it by being direct into a striker, then they need to be able to do it by evading pressure through midfield. Thomas Partey, he had dropped the shoulder on so many people and made them look silly so many times that they just stopped pressing him altogether and just we just got through those middle areas very easily. That's what Douglas Luiz I think gives you back. He gives you the press resistance back. Is his passing range like Thomas Partey? No. But I actually think that's the thing that you miss from Thomas Partey the most is his press resistance. I think that passing wise, you as long as you can have somebody that breaks the lines in some way, whether that's with their passing or dribbling, I think that's what you need. You need somebody that can receive the ball. And really, when we talked about what we need from a Xhaka replacement, we spoke about somebody that just does what Xhaka does, but does it better, like a more athletic version of Granit Xhaka. And one thing that he lacked, and is probably the only reason why he's not considered like an elite midfielder, is his ability to receive the ball under pressure. Now, he had a really good get out of jail free card that we know of, it's the turn around, fall on the ball, and get the foul. But somebody like Douglas Luiz and somebody like Thomas Partey is going to drop the shoulder and progress the ball in that way. He's a little bit lower to the ground, so he's a little bit like of a better center of gravity. He does wiggle out of those pressurized situations quite well. He is a true midfielder, which is something that we miss. We don't really, beyond Declan Rice, have a player that is just a midfielder. Now he can play in a double pivot. He can play in the 8 role, but he's somebody that's going to give you that box to boxness, which I think we lack. So what he gives you from what we would lose from Partey, what he gives you back is the press resistance, but he also gives you the things that we wanted in a Xhaka replacement, which is just somebody like a midfielder that can do the box to box stuff, can get in the box and finish off moves, has a good passing range, and is a little bit more athletic, and it's Premier League standard. So I think that's why Arsenal are really interested in him. Also, with the Kia Drapshin thing, I think that makes it easier. Like, that he's interested. I wonder what's this whole, like, he's the perfect midfielder for Arsenal. Like, where is that coming from? Because really, has he gotten better or is he playing for a better side? I think that's my question. It's like, as Aston Villa have gotten better, has Douglas Luiz actually gotten better, or is it just showing his better traits? Is this a purple patch, or is this a player that's come into his prime now at 26 and he's really showing what he can do? That's my only concern around Douglas Luiz is he ever going to be world class? Can he be world class? Like, I think that's where I'm at with him. Do I think he instantly makes this better? Yeah, I do. I think he instantly makes this better. He'd be available and he's press resistant and he's a box to box midfielder of a Premier League standard. He 100% makes this better because we literally don't have that player in the squad right now. But does he lift the ceiling? Is it just a purple patch, y'all? You guys will let me know. Another thing that I like about Douglas Luiz that we don't have in the team is a dead ball specialist. I definitely think that that's something that we lack. Takes penalties, takes free kicks, does them very well. So, and he looked good for Brazil too. Like the other day when he came on, I thought he looked better than Bruno Guimaraes. I did. I genuinely, I think Bruno Guimaraes is having a poor season, but he looked better than Bruno Guimaraes. So you guys will let me know, but it's one of those things where, I think he gives you a little bit of two midfielders that we have lost over the last, 6 months, or not 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, and Xhaka and Partey. Is he going to replace either one of them in their entirety? No, but do we need that? I don't think so. I think people are like, well, we have to keep Partey because we're never going to find somebody just like him. I don't think we need anybody just like him. I actually think our midfield is changing. And I think the biggest indicator of that is Declan Rice. Arteta spent 105 million on a DM. He clearly wanted to change the chemistry in the midfield, but he does need to add some pieces back to make Arsenal a team that can access those central spaces. And I think that's going to come with more physicality, more athleticism, and press resistance. Those are things that Douglas Luiz has. Do we need the passing range? I don't necessarily think so. But you guys will let me know. says Luis for 30 million, sure, but not for 60 because now you're entering De Jong and Barella money. Potentially, but do you guys actually think that is not spending 60 million on Douglas Luiz, does that make sense just because you could get somebody for better in an ideal world? You know, I don't actually think we have a chance of getting Barella or De Jong. I think both of them are very happy where they are right now. And if they were to leave the clubs that they're at right now, they'd probably go, if they didn't come to the Premier League, they're probably going to go to Man City, on period. Maybe Liverpool. So I don't know if I believe in not spending 50, 60 million on Douglas Luiz because we could potentially, in an ideal world in my fantasies, bring in players that we probably have no chance of bringing in, for multiple reasons, right? Is 60 million a premium? Yes. But, think about the prices or the fees that certain players have went for, like somebody like James Ward-Prowse, I think went to West Ham for 30 million, and he's like a basic standard midfielder. So when we start to go to the next level up, isn't 50, 60 million just about what somebody like Douglas Luiz would cost? When we talk about Declan Rice at 100 million and James Ward-Prowse at 30, isn't a player that's probably right smack dab in the middle, prime age, Premier League standard player, probably going to cost you 50, 60 million? Is that actually a crazy fee? Or is it just where the market kind of is?